The political world has been buzzing over an endorsement made in a high-profile U.S. Senate race in Texas. Houston Attorney Dan Cogdell, who defended Attorney General Ken Paxton for years through an impeachment and a fraud case, is backing Paxton's opponent. I talked with Cogdell this afternoon. Dan Cogdell, thank you for being here. We spoke a couple of years ago. I did an interview with you after the impeachment trial. You told me a lot of people have a negative image of Ken Paxton. You said he's really a pretty gracious guy, easy to get along with, decent fellow to be around. And yet you're supporting James Tallarico in the Senate race. Why?
Well, and I don't walk back any of those comments. Ken was a good client. He was easy to be around. He was appreciative of our efforts, so I don't walk back any of those. I just simply think that Ken has sort of lost sight or lost focus on what's best for Texas. And I think Tallarico is focusing on the issues that I'd like to see a senator focused on.
So you said he's lost focus. What does that mean?
Look, and I'm not in Paxton's head, but it seems to me that Ken has become a rubber stamp for what 47 wants, for what Donald Trump wants. And that's just not what I think he should be focused on. We got plenty of problems in Texas, and I don't think President Trump is focused on near as many of them as he should be.
So Ken Paxton has been if I use the term, MAGA warrior.
That is a term, and that is accurate.
Always.
Yep.
That is not new.
Correct.
And you knew that when you represented him.
Yeah, but again, he didn't hire me, and I didn't agree to represent him based on politics. Mm-hmm. He hired me because he thought I was the right lawyer for the job, and I thought I could do him some good. Okay, so
we have to hear from some of your co-counsel in the impeachment trial, and you already know about this. Tony Busby, let's go to the graphic, if you will, guys. Busby said, I was Paxton's lead lawyer in the fraudulent impeachment. Our team consisted of more than 20 lawyers. I understand my friend Dan Cogdell publicly supports A.G. Paxton's opponent. I'm not surprised Cogdell is a lifelong Democrat. Let's go to the next one, guys, because this is another co-counsel who also had a comment, and I'm sure you've heard about these. This is from Mitch Little, Texas lawmaker now on the impeachment team. I love Dan, but he's a Democrat, and he doesn't vote very much. This impeachment defense lawyer is 100% behind Ken Paxton. They're both calling you a Democrat. Do you always vote Democrat?
Well, first off, I don't always vote.
Okay.
My friend Mitch is exactly right. I'm not the most political person you've ever met.
Okay.
That having been said, look, I like Mitch, I respect Mitch, but I'm not ashamed to be called a Democrat or a moderate or whatever. If I was worried about labels, I wouldn't have become a criminal defense lawyer.
But did you give money to Ken Paxton's campaign at some point?
I did, absolutely.
Did you vote for Ken Paxton while he was running for AG?
I did not.
You did not?
I voted, I donated, actually, we had the fundraise for Paxton last April or May. And I supported him. He was a client, and I appreciated being his lawyer. But I didn't really, to my defense, Lynn, I didn't really know much about Tallarico at that point.
Okay. So it's what you've grown to know about Tallarico that has perhaps changed your mind.
100%.
Okay. Absent, if it had been somebody else, were you supporting Ken Paxton?
Well, it depends who it was. Depends who it was, right? So between Cornyn and Paxton, would I have voted for Paxton? I don't know, probably. But the thing I like about Tallarico is he's focused on the issues that I believe a senator should be focused on. He's focused on education. He's focused on school safety. He's focused on infrastructure. He's focused on all the things that I believe a senator should be focused on.
This has gotten a lot of interest, the fact that you support Tallarico as we see him here. I guess people assume if you represent someone that maybe you also support them, but clearly that's not the case.
Well, as I have said before, Lynn, look, I am career-wise a criminal defense lawyer, and I wouldn't probably support 95% of my clients if they chose to run for political office. Representing somebody aggressively and zealously, as the Constitution tells me I should, doesn't mean I have to vote for him.
Mm-hmm. One could argue, since he's no longer Ken Paxton, a paying client, then you'll vote likewise.
Well, if I was in it as a lawyer to be for the money, if finance is what drove my decision to practice law, I'd be a PI lawyer. I wouldn't be a criminal defense lawyer.
Okay, so final thought. If Tallarico is getting a lot of buzz, we know. Put your hat on, look in the mirror. Can he upset? Because it would be an upset at Ken Paxton. It would be an upset in the state of Texas.
It would absolutely be an upset in the state of Texas. I think it'd be the first time in 30 years or so. That having been said, I think he's up in the polls. right now. But can he win? I don't know. He's going to have to win in South Texas. He's going to have to convince some right-leaning folks to vote his way. I think it's going to be a much closer race than I think the Paxton team predicts it is.
Are you giving money to Tallarico?
I already have.
You have given money. All right. Dan Cogdell, thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on, Lynn. I appreciate it.